Welcome, welcome. What's up and what's poppin'? You have reached the Unknowns podcast. We back at it again. Got a hot episode number 5 for you. It's your girl, Shady Cartier, and my fellow Scientologist, Mobius.
Hello.
And today we got a special treat for you, man. We got a wild topic at hand. And we also have someone that wants to share some very important information. Drum roll, please. Yeah, so we don't have sound effects here. Mystery is who I'm introducing to you guys.
Hello ladies and gentlemen.
Rated E for everyone.
Well, I don't know about that. But listen, today's topic, you already know, everything black, the black community, trying to make a difference, man, building the community up. But the question is how we do that. And so we got Mystery here to talk about financing in our community. But first, let's get into current events. You already know how we do it. What's up, Mobius? What's poppin'? You always got some crazy stuff going on. Go ahead, let us know.
Protests and such. That's pretty much gonna be the theme here.
Shenanigans.
All right, I'll talk about what happened recently, but not into too much detail. The group that I'm with had been asked to do some medic stuff for a pretty vague event. It was just a call to action, but that's it. Okay, so normally our leaders will go out there and kind of scope it out with their go bags, or just kind of do a drive-by like, hey, you guys good? Anybody getting hurt? Anything? That didn't happen. It was organized to be a much larger event, and so they had several people come out. We made teams. We had radios and comms and all this stuff.
I mean, it sounds like your group is normally like super organized.
Yeah, this one was, as far as I know, it just popped up on us because we had one that's coming up in a couple days, or at that point was coming up in a couple days, but this one just kind of popped up, and it might have been response to some of the things that the city had done, which is fair. Okay, cool, but again, what does this mean when people are making flyers and bulletins and saying, hey, we want to do this thing, and they're calling for people to come out and do stuff? Most of the time, at least the stuff that we'd been a part of, it was like, we're marching for this thing, we're doing this for this thing, we're trying to draw attention for that thing, or we're just making some noise so people don't forget that it's also a great day to arrest Breonna Taylor's killers, blah, blah, blah. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, blah, blah, blah. No, this was none of that. This was none of that. It was just call to action, be here, we're all black. And so that threw people off, because we're medics, we're not ninjas, we're not cops, we're not soldiers. So wearing all black is counterintuitive to when someone says help, and then a bunch of people in black run up to you and go, do you need help? It's like, get away from me. I'm
Shadow Master.
Do you see my stethoscope? I'm trying to fix you up, man. Like, you just want some water? Somebody had a seizure.
Whatever. That sounds crazy. Okay. So you got called to some sketchy action.
Did you all wear black?
No. I wear what you see that I had on. So I was late to the party, but I digress.
Right, and that's what I wanted to get into. Like, I don't even want you to skip over your normal procedure, because I feel like that's a very key part. Like, normally this is what would take place, but you were dealing with some family stuff and you got carried away, and so the call to action was like 8 o'clock. Normally you told me y'all do what? A briefing or something?
Yeah, like, so that for them, the briefing still went on. They talked about what was expected. They talked about what they expected to happen, and what the organizers' leadership had communicated with our people, at least as far as I know. And then we roll. So they went down to a police station. They left from a park to go to a police station to essentially just make noise and harass them. But what happened was it turned violent. So I'm following the chats, the several chats that we have, And I'm
disclaimer: that is not normally like your medic group does not live for that.
What,
like,
the violence and stuff.
I mean, you're definitely there to help as medics.
Well,
period.
Okay, so it's
Right.
yes, disclaimer, and that was a conversation we had to have, like especially during the height of the George Floyd protests, like when that was the big one, and basically the whole country was on fire because of that. Like, you know, somebody's doing a thing in front of you. Do you, an individual, stop them? Well, you could, but then at that point, you're no longer this medic. You're just some guy there. You might mean well, but that jeopardizes, especially when you throw that red cross on, it jeopardizes everyone else who's wearing that same badge. Same with catastrophic mass casualties. That was a conversation we had to have with this. If something happened and cops were injured or people were injured, do you help the cops too? Because they're just people and you've taken that oath. Not that I have personally, I'm just a volunteer, but some of the other people who did swear that Hippocratic oath, do you help the cop? Because that's the right thing to do? Well, yeah, but then the crowd might turn on you because you're helping the oppressors, right? Like, this isn't, it's a serious conversation, and it had to be had several times, but it's, you know, so going back to what happened recently, like, so it was something similar, like, so I got into the city at like 10, and at that point the signals.
I was into it.
Well, it's like, yeah, it was 2, because I was planning on getting there at 9, so I got there at 10, and at this point I'm close to where the original meetup spot was, which was the park. And then okay, so we're at the police station, okay, because none of the information was disclosed to us. It's supposed to be as tightly knit as possible, which is good, but it's just the organizers were tactically just bad. So
it was just a shady situation. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
so I'm driving around, and they keep dropping pins to where they're going or planned to go or were, and I'm getting it in bunches because as soon as you enter the city, signals get bad. So I'm getting it minutes after they'd left, or several minutes after they'd left.
Trying to track them.
Right. And then park so I can go hop out on foot with my kit. But then 10:30 rolls around, and then the mood changes from, yeah, stuff's going on, nothing crazy, or, oh, it's getting pretty wild, some people are leaving. If you don't want to get arrested, or you can't, you should probably consider doing that too. And this is our medic leadership to us going, hey, this isn't what we thought it was. You know, people will still need medical attention, so we will stay here. But to you individuals, you know, if you got things that you can't be arrested for, job, work, school, just not wanting to be arrested, you should probably leave, and we won't blame you because this isn't what we really signed up for.
Right. That's crazy, man. I mean,
So 10:30 rolls around, and then I get to where they've been kettled in, and you've seen it in New York, you've seen it in Portland, you've seen it in a number of cities where the cops box them in, and I saw it in person. So I've got my binoculars, I've got comms, I'm trying to take pictures and call out stuff that seems relevant. And some of the other people who were in that corral, they got out through an alleyway and went back to their car. And was so we went, we hooked up and started trying to evac people, but they were the only ones that made it out. After they got out, the cops took up two buses and then blocked the alley where they had got out at, and that was a wrap.
Crazy, man. I mean, listen.
They locked up all the protesters?
Oh yeah, charged with felony rioting and inciting violence and rioting and resisting arrest. That's just. We don't have a charge, so it's resisting arrest. It should be resisting because you stopped me for something. But no, it's resisting arrest. You were by yourself and you were in the area, so resisting arrest. Some people did get out, and now, it was just lawyers. So we all, at which point it's like, okay, in case we get pinched too, turn off your fingerprint unlock, turn off your face unlock. Scrub the chat, your personal phone chat for anything sensitive, and then just wait, until leadership says, "Hey, so this is what we
turn off your finger unlocking on that?"
So in other countries, when the cops arrest you, they can take your phone and put your fingerprint on it and then unlock
that.
it. Well, yeah, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I don't know the legality of it here, but over there, in other countries that don't respect certain things and can very well easily make you disappear, you know, you have rights over there too, but they didn't break any laws, air quotes, they didn't break any laws because they didn't interrogate you for your password.
Yeah,
they didn't break into your phone, they just took your hand and said, oh, this was unlocked and I just picked it up. Ha!
Yeah, I mean...
You know, it can happen here too, but...
In my wild life living in Florida, shout out to Wild Ass Florida. Yeah, I've definitely seen them grab someone's phone, obviously in transport, doing something they had no business doing, and open up their whole conversation with the person they was going to meet. Like, hey, oh, this where you was going. Oh, this what you got. Okay, well, show it to me. And now you're going to tell about it. But, you know, I guess. I mean, what are your thoughts and your feelings about that, you know? Just, I guess the situation, I mean, honestly, I feel like this, you know. I know why you were out there, Mobius. We know Mobius loves saving the community, you know, people doing the right thing. You know, that's what Mobius do. Like, I see you. But my issue is with the group that organized going to fuck up a police station. Like, that's what my issue is. Like, I mean, we know what you were there for, but literally, like, you almost got caught up in some real crazy shit. And it's just like, you want to help and you want to make a difference. But what's going on? I feel like they're obviously black.
Yeah, probably. Okay. I don't know. I heard there were some
mixed
possible Antifa dudes out there, but
oh gosh,
that was the case. That was the case 2 months ago, in during the Floyd protests, where the cops were literally staging bricks so that protesters would go, I'm gonna take this and throw it at a cop car. Yeah. So then the cops would have a reason to just whoop everybody's ass, you know.
But but they were obviously, from what you've gathered, that's what they were there to do, was to kind of cause trouble.
The Antifa from the other night?
Yeah,
from this recent thing?
From this recent thing, like...
Well, I wasn't on the ground. I got there after everybody had gotten pinched, almost. So I couldn't see, but from what I gathered from the chat and from Twitter feeds and from other people, there's always a subgroup of dudes who just wanted to start trouble. That's cool. This vague protest in particular from this event was already dangerous enough because there was no, this is what we want, and then any violence that happened, they could say that wasn't us.
You know. Exactly. And so, I mean, you know, I don't want to speak for like all protesters. I'm literally just talking about the rioters, the people who are out there, and, you know, what is your purpose? My question is, what's going on in your life that this is the most important thing, this is the most lit thing you can do, this is the most exciting thing that you can do, like, this is all that you have going for you? Like, what's going on with those people in their life? Like, where are they financially? Where are your morals? How were you raised? Like, what is your point in doing what you're doing? And so, you know, when, you know, Mystery, I bring you on to talk about finances, and my question to you, you know, at the end of the day, and I hate to say it like this, but if you had some bread, would you be out there rioting and breaking stuff and destroying? Like, am I wrong for feeling like it got something to do with money?
I'm certain that when you're talking about grassroots efforts and people on the ground, that you're going to find a huge disparity in the economics that are fueling those individuals' motives and the organizers that are putting the same events together. I'm sure that you'll find the full spectrum of individuals from every tax bracket, but how are they involved? The individuals that are probably angry and throwing bricks probably have more of an emotional connection to what's going on the streets than an individual that is separated from that because economically they're not exposed to it.
And that's real time. I mean, that's kind of like my point. Like, are you financially stable? You know? But when you say something like the emotional side of it, that's a conversation, you know, I had with Husbando about our younger brother and their generation and the kids that are now adults that grew up during the Trayvon Martin situation. and their emotional ties to, okay, we keep seeing these things happen and nothing is happening, and now we're finally snapping out. And so it's, you know, I get that, and it's, I guess I was just kind of numb to it.
Yeah, I've become jaded to a lot of things. Getting out of high school, if you're an American, everybody's trained to think they can save the world. And for the most part, we come from a country that very well is possible, given the resources and the reach that you could have on any given day. But that looks awful. I know it's all
I could have died just then, ladies
awful.
and gentlemen.
Okay. On any given day, but then the weight of the world presses you down, and while being American teaches you to be very tough, at least mentally, compared to other countries where they just sort of beat conformity into you. That happens here too. You do conform, or you just become jaded, and that's where I was for even now, just for a period of time. It's like, no, you can change the world if you do this, but here's the realistic outlook on anything that you might do.
Right. And that it's all seemingly BS.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, do you support protesting? Of course you do.
Right.
You're out there. Do I support protesting? Of course, but I wasn't out there. Mystery, do you support protesting?
Absolutely. I think there's just many different forms of protesting that you can do and that occur. Like, even in the same examples that you all have given, there's definitely a huge disparity in the actual individuals, depending on who organized the event, depending on how it's marketed, and so the reach can be far and wide or very narrow.
It's everything from blocking bridges, which just really inconveniences everybody, but blocking bridges and civil disruption to what we did in the 50s and 60s with the civil rights movement, which was largely peaceful, to now where Kaepernick took a knee and lost his job.
Right.
And that was the last straw. We gave you every reason to say, we're upset about a thing. We the people, not necessarily limited to black people, but protesters. Right. It's the last.
Shout out to protesters.
It's the last line for when the people in the streets aren't being heard. And I come from a different tax bracket from our brother and you and Mystery over here. So context, it's important. So to see other people from similar brackets or even higher brackets, like the mayor of Portland got pepper sprayed in the face, and he was on the front line at the police station. Nice. Just trying to have a conversation. And
shout out to the mayor of Portland. He got blasted,
and then. So to see all that happening, it's not just this one incident. It's disparity. It's continuing, and it's over a lot of things, not just this black people this. It's the justice system in which other people of other races have experienced and are finally speaking up because they have a voice, which piggybacked off of George Floyd and several other incidents. They now have a platform to yell about.
And that's very important what you're saying. Like, literally, that's my point. Like, where's the fuel? Where's the underlying? There's, the emotional connectivity to what's been happening all these years, and I'm tired of it. And, but when it comes to rioting, and that's what I'm talking about, when it comes to the destructive attitude, like, where does that come from? And for me personally, I feel like from living in the hood, from living in fucking mansions, from living in townhouses, single family homes, from living in abandoned single family homes, like with no electricity, with no heat in that zone. Like, what are you talking about? Like, at one point we didn't even have no running water. Like, I really feel like when you live in those situations, like, you will put up with anything. You will allow almost anything to happen to you or around you, and you just deal with it because you're used to having nothing and feeling unworthy and less than, and so rioting and destroying other people's property when I don't have property in the first place. I'm renting. I got eviction letters on my door all the time. Like, why should I have any respect for anything?
It's the, you don't feel my pain, so now you will. It won't be the same,
Ooh.
but
that's the thing.
deep and
The key issue that I believe, because we started talking about protesting, and when protesting escalates to a point of rioting, it becomes a completely different animal. And because of just inherently the violence associated with what rioting is, then even the protesters can empathize with the authorities for using force to get those situations underway or control. Yeah. Because even for the rioters at those times, they're risking their own lives running into burning places, trying to steal things and breaking through things that aren't designed to be broken through. They put themselves at tremendous risk. And so rioting is a completely different animal than protesting. And so even in the case of rioting, that I don't think shows, I don't think it has a economic limit, because there's been times that and we know videos where there's been times that very wealthy people began rioting, and especially during segregation, when black people began to get more accessibility, those wealthy whites were rioting and were very ignorant, just the same way that we see folks out here, but they were operating from a different economic perspective. They were mad that people were encroaching on the things that they had.
Hatred.
And they didn't want to share, they didn't want to give access. The rioting that we see when it's coming from an urban fuel, like you're saying, Shady, these individuals are coming from a place that they don't have, and they covet, and they haven't been able to get access to the same resources that they're seeing distributed or used right in front of them. So it's like, if I could just go take it, even if it doesn't make sense for me to put this ATM in the back of my truck, I'm gonna go do it, because I'm not gonna think beyond my action at this point, because it's more fueled by my emotions than by the strategy that protesting is. When our civil rights leaders like John Lewis, God rest his soul, were out in the 60s, and they were doing these same protests, they sat in rooms and thought and calculated and strategized and talked about all of the potential outcomes of how we would, if they spray us down with water, if they pepper spray us, if they do any of these things, we're going to have a measure in place that will maintain the message, maintain the goal. When it transfers into rioting, there is no goal.
Nope.
So it's done. It's just, I feel like the goal is almost to show you how I feel, like my anguish and my pain and my suffering. Like, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna make downtown look like the hood that I grew up on.
But then this is when I have to say that, bringing it back to the topic about the economics behind the individuals that are actually on the streets doing these things, the individuals that are destroying property can't be owners. It's difficult to understand for an owner that understands the insurance, the payroll, the thing, unless you're gonna go and destroy somebody else's thing. But even in the same respect, if you're within your own community, you understand that, look, you could burn my building down, I got insurance. Like, really, I'm not gonna lose if my business is running correctly.
That was the big thing in the 90s with the Rodney King riots, was that they torched their own neighborhoods.
It was
and then blamed it on current events.
Yeah, you got to go up to the upclass neighborhoods and do the same thing. So when it happened in response to George Floyd, and everybody's like, "Oh, they're savages, everybody's thugs," blah 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 blah. It's like, No, this is hundreds of years worth of anguish and rage and unheard legitimate concerns and stuff that we've been telling you. In the same way, like, our government is super incompetent right now with the Orange Cheeto, Agent Orange, whatever you want to call them. Like, it's
shout out to Trump.
it's Bush all over again in regards to Katrina, but worse. Because now other countries have blocked us from leaving to go visit their countries. Like, that's how bad we are. So you got the riots, you got homelessness on the rise, and we're about to have what, like 20-something million Americans about to be evicted for not making
new protests. Pull up, hit us on IG with your eviction date, so we can send out a response team wherever you are.
And people have been doing it, and more or less
I definitely saw that, and it's just really sad to be in that position. And I urge everyone to check the city, state, county that you're living in. You know, check on the moratorium, check on assistance. You know,
there's lots
look
of
into
assistance
it. There's
available.
lots. Come on, Mr. You know it.
This is America, and this is the unfortunate thing about not knowing and not being aware, is that, you know, when you have your emotions and you have your feelings and you need somewhere to target it and somewhere to push all of that energy, if you don't know, then you can't put your energy into the things that can create the types of change that you want. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an unprecedented opportunity in this country right now. We can create. It's not different. The difference is we have the internet. Nobody in history had the internet. Anybody listening to our voices right now can get on the internet and do brain surgery. Maybe you won't be as great as the brain surgeon that went to Harvard, Yale, or so on, but you can get enough information where you can actually be competitive. It's right there and available at our fingertips. And so we can take the access to this technology and use it to bolster one another, but we're not. Because we're still stuck in the Stone Age when it comes to the media controlling our perception of things. And so when we get upset, we go out and we throw a brick through a Foot Locker and go and buy some sneakers, instead of telling the government what they really should do with that stimulus check and getting our representatives to get some real change. There's a lot of folks that are. I'm not discounting that, but there's just an opportunity that if you're willing to really put in the work, you can have access to everything that you ever dreamed just because of the internet. Literally. I don't even have to argue anything else other than that. Everybody knows about internet millionaires. It started with Soulja Boy when he did that dance way back, and everybody was like, this little 13-year-old made how much money? It's available. And so, you know, us being able to mobilize and actually call each other to action is a very beautiful thing. It's an amazing thing. It's very powerful. But I think that we just need to find a different way to be able to blend all of our motives and push out a actual agenda that is concerted.
We need a plan. We need a plan.
Shout out to the United States Citizens Recovery Alliance Initiative.
Yes.
Whatever he said.
No, it's fine. Piggybacking off of what he said about the focus about writing and such. In other countries, a lot of their writing, when they've had it enough with their government and whatever they're talking about, it's pretty laser guided. They're coming after the officials. They're coming after their police. They're coming after that, and they're destroying anything in regards to that one thing. Whereas over here, it's more freeform. You know, they feel too. They're angry too, but they're going to the police station. They're burning it down. They're torching it, and then they're going up to their senator equivalent, governor equivalent, president equivalent. They're, you know, and they're raiding their mansion and going, you owe us, the people, answers or respect or something.
And that, I mean,
their societies are run tremendously
different. Yeah. Whereas
I've heard of governments where they pave the road from the government building to the prime minister's house, and so everywhere else is dirt except for
there. Yeah,
this 5-mile stretch from this man's house because he wanted coverage. So their governments are run different.
Mm-hmm.
We are spoiled here in this country, and we don't realize it. We have a lot of access.
Not even that. I mean, we also don't take advantage of the resources. And so to me, again, you know, you touched on it when it comes to information and seeking knowledge. At the end of the day, if you do not have the wealth that you are looking for, if you do not own property, therefore you don't have respect for property, you know, if you do not understand what it's like to live in a mansion and be afforded wonderful opportunities, to not have to worry about paying rent. I think everybody kind of experienced that a little bit, you know, right now. But like, that's an amazing feeling. Like, and I feel, obviously because of COVID, like, we can't enjoy that feeling or really understand what it's like to live, to wake up every day and not actually have to be concerned about what's going to happen to you financially, or your financial future, or your children's future. I mean, we live in a time where there is literally no excuse. I mean, nobody can argue with you on that because of the internet. It has nothing to do with education. I want to say the government. It has nothing to do with you. I mean, at the end of the day, curriculum, it has nothing to do with any of those things. There is no excuse. If you want to, if you want it bad enough, if you want to do better bad enough, there's an opportunity and ability and a way to go get it. And so, you know, I don't know what to, you know, what to do or say when I hear about those people rioting, other than how do we give them the opportunity to do something better and do something different. And so that's why I asked, like, the most important question of, and shout out to everybody listening to the podcast, this question is for you. You know, if you were financially stable or wealthy, let me put it like that. If you were wealthy, how would you protest? What would be your version of your call to action? Like, what would you do? And so, Mobius, we already know you're a medic out here. I would just like to say, this is my little dream for Mobius right here, y'all. I feel like if he had the bag, you know, he'd still go out there with the medics and all that, but he'd be sitting in his Tesla, his several Teslas that's filled with, like, oh, shout out to Costco and BJ's. I don't really bang with y'all, but y'all got everything on deck and y'all got a whole bunch of it. So shout out to the big businesses that make sure that we got more than enough things that we need and sell us shit that we don't need on a regular basis. Shout out to them all day. But at the end of the day, like, I really feel like you'll fill it up with water. You'll fill it up with bandages, all the little first aid kits. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, you'll still be out there, but it'll be in a different capacity. But you answer for yourself, Mobius. If you had that bag, y'all, hit us on IG.
Everything from legal representation, because one of our leaders, before we hooked up with the lawyers guilds, and we would stick near them to make sure that they could see what was happening.
I didn't do anything.
You know, you got that green hat on. Yeah. Just go hang out near that guy. Don't get in their way. Just let them do their thing. But don't mess with the cops. Just kind of do your medic thing, and then if you go down, make sure they can see you, and don't say anything to the cops. Like, even now, like, after the first month, after the full Floyd protests, I still carry around one of the papers they gave me, which is like, know your rights, don't talk to the cops, lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
write whatever numbers you need, write it on your arm,
okay,
and keep it moving. So, if I had money, you know, it'd probably be a van as opposed to a Tesla, but not that I wouldn't mind driving one.
How about the Benz jump? Yeah, buddy, that Benz.
The van?
The Benz work vans.
Oh, yeah.
Filled with resources.
Super comfortable. Oh, you need a charge?
Shout out to
here
Benz roadside assistance.
Just be out there and doing more or less the same thing. I'm just logistical, but having the tools and the money to be like, oh, you need a defib? Yeah. Right here. You need.
All right, I got a special question for you, and I'm gonna get to you. Special question: If you had the bag and you was out there protesting, and you saw them rioters, though, what would you do about them? What would you say to them? You got the bag, and you see them emotional. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to say nobody wrong, but you ain't making the best choices that you can make. And you're not, I don't see how destroying the police station is helping Breonna Taylor's killers get arrested, but I feel where you're coming from. And so, what kind of message would you have for them?
Well, not in regards to the recent one. That was something else. But in general,
fuck the police. Fuck the police.
Any protest that turned from peaceful to violent, and it's like legit, like whatever's going on in Portland. Or wherever the cops said, hey, we can't use this thing, and then they use it anyway, or the cops are pressing the people into being more belligerent and aggressive and violent, I can't really argue against that. Like, do what you do, and then let's have a conversation after the fact. But anything, if you can see it about to turn, it's like, okay, look, everybody calm down, drink some water, let's talk. Let's get these cameras in here and
drink some water.
Drink some water. You know,
this guy.
You gotta keep going. So here's some Gatorade. Here's some water. Here's some electrolytes. You gotta keep going.
Shout out to the water boy.
Who needs to eat? People want food. Free food. People like free stuff. Here's some food. Oh,
that's what I'm talking about.
Eat, and that's literally my job. Even now, just walking up to people. Hey, did you eat? You look kind of Did you eat it all? No. Yeah, come on over. Get some food. Just ate. You need to eat more. Your skin's looking kind of flushed. Do you want to get some shade? We got some ice packs. Like, not forcing it on them. They're people. They can do what they want. Black people generally have an inherent distrust of medical professionals.
Oh, that too.
So it's like,
we got a whole episode.
Who are you? I'm just a dude. Yeah, they got I'm a volunteer. I mean, you want some water? It's free. Trust me. It's some Gatorade. Like, eat. Did you eat? No. Then leave them alone. So,
what I really want to know, how you feel and what would you do about it? You had the bag, mystery. If you had that bag, okay, and you, what is your version of protesting?
I'm probably not gonna be down there where all of that nonsense is going on. I'm gonna be probably watching it comfortably from wherever I've employed individuals to go and complete their task.
Mystery, ladies and gentlemen.
No, but honestly, if you're gonna put me on the streets and for whatever reason I'm there, maybe I'm throwing the event, so I have to show face.
Oh, right, that's what I'm talking about.
So I'm down there, and then I see that there's individuals that are boiling up to that place. Mm-hmm. It's really gonna be on a case-by-case basis. God gives me words in situations, and so if I'm there, then I'm sure that I'll have the words, but I'm certain that it'll be something along the lines of destruction will not pay the results that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Destruction isn't reparations.
We can create, using that same energy, more things if we're strategic and concerted.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I love it. I love it. The energy, the effort, the vibe. Really important stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, having leadership that is, I want to say that is truly understanding. I feel like, and then that's one part of it, and the other part is having the leadership on the ground, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, having individuals there that can connect with the individuals that are there are important. And so, I don't know if the economic status makes a difference as much as their understanding of it, because I've met a lot of people in my walks of life that have a lot of money and that are still very down to earth and relatable individuals.
Yeah.
And if you find me in that situation, typically they're not willing to risk themselves, so they'll exit stage left.
Right.
But if they have to be
early,
it's easy to see why it's important to preserve life when you have so much of it to live.
I mean, and that's really nice. That I was trying to figure out how to fit this in this whole time. Like, you just hit it on the head. Fuck ninja time. All right, guys, you know what it is. Famous Trump quotes.
Yeah.
And this wasn't really his quote, so I really can't even give him 100% on this one. But you know when the loot is starting. No, not grab her in the pussy. No, that is not sexual harassment.
Trump quote.
Sexual harassment is not the subject of today's podcast, but we will get back with you on that. We will definitely get back with you. No, the one that just came in my head and just blew it all up. When the looting start, the shooting start, and I know that's not his quote, and he was allegedly repeating it, and I allegedly didn't mean it that way. We ain't nobody stupid. You was working for the WWF when it was the WWF. You a shady, shiesty Agent Orange. Ain't nobody stupid. But my point is, even a statement like that,
what did he say?
Shows when the looting started, the shooting started. It's somebody else's quote, but he said it when all of it was popping off again crazy. And so what you literally saying is lives really don't matter. Like, this building matters more. They should have had insurance, but they ain't got insurance, or they do got insurance and they gonna get paid out. Like, all this property damage is more important than people's lives. Like, what are you talking about? And so that's what my real underlying issue is. When it gets to that point, what happens next, and what has been happening on the news in a few cases. Not only are they setting people up to incite the violence, but when all of it is actually coming into fruition, it's not just about we're gonna lock you up and throw you in jail. Like, putting you on punishment and timeout, it can feel disgraceful, especially being black or growing up in a family with, affluential people on one side, and then what they call them, the screw ups or the black sheeps on the other side. You aim to not be a stereotype and to not get locked up. But at the end of the day, that's nothing compared to what happened to George Floyd. I mean, these are your options. You can get choked out and killed for standing up for what you believe in, or you could end up in jail. And so I just wish that we had enough support financially that we can make a difference without having to go down either one of those paths. Unfortunately, or either way, you should be able to protest and your life should not be in danger. At no point for standing up for what you believe in. But we all know that there's always adversaries. Always.
Yep.
The human life, though, is not valued. And so that's what my biggest issue is. Why do we have to keep dying over this? Why do we keep putting ourselves in these situations? And where do we go from here?
It's going to take a paradigm shift. It's going to take the dialogue changing, the consensus changing, because though it seems, and I would partially agree with you, that we do not have the resources to effectively change the things that we have a problem with, the numbers say tremendously different. The numbers show that we spend too much money as a people nationwide, and then complain about not having access, resources. It's become a part of our culture to spend and endorse things differently than other cultures right within our country. Instead of saving and instead of paying it forward, we will hoard, or we will invest in things that we don't need just to be better than the next person.
Yep.
It's going to take a shift in the way that we think, because we do have the resources. We have the resources. Now we have the access with the internet. The ideas are out there. The individual, the energy is out there. Instead of breaking down a police station, let's go and partner with Habitat for Humanity and build a school. Take that same energy and hammer a nail. Take that same anger and push a crate. But individuals aren't called to action to go and volunteer in their community. They're called to action to go and aggressively abuse being able to protest.
So sad. That's so sad.
Not and let me clarify, because that is not the fuel of all protests.
Not at all. Not at all.
I believe that we have enough individuals that are protesting in the correct ways,
okay,
and that understand the laws, have the legal support, have the structure, and make the right calls to organize peaceably and express our discontent with the things that aren't changing. What I think should happen after that is that those same individuals that were able to call to action hundreds of individuals, dozens of individuals, it should be a repetitive thing where we get those same individuals to come back out and to spend that energy on building something. We're building a movement, we're building concern. Let's actually build a building. Let's actually build a business. Let's actually have some COVID environments that we create, or some innovative techniques that we use, not only to express ourselves and to be able to get that energy out, but to do it in a productive and constructive way that we will all be able to visibly see the growth of. Because that's another issue that happens. Protests become riots because people are protesting for months and months and see no result. Mm-hmm. Let's give them something to see.
I love it. And I ain't even answered my part of the question, and you just kind of...
I'm sorry.
Just took a dump. You just... A shiny dump. Like, what I have to say is now a dump, because you just shined it up so nice and sparkled it up. I mean, what I wanted to say is, and I know somebody else said they was doing this. Who was this? Lil Boosie? Shout out to Lil Boosie, psych. Or T.I. Shout out to... I don't trust none of them. Anyway, but somebody was like, oh, I'm going to pay the protesters lawyer fees. Oh, okay, good money. That's love. Does anybody know who that was?
No,
I know it was a rapper. Shout out to rappers who give
back
a few fat fucks. Like, a few. Maybe a fuck and a half. Like, shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. In that situation, and I'm gonna answer it like you did. Hopefully I got the bag, so I'm in the condo, I'm cooling, I'm watching it on the news, but I got my squad. I got a whole squad of medics. You know, I got Mobius running my medic squad. He's Jay-Z. On the ground. It was who? No shout outs to Jay-Z.
It was Jay-Z.
Anyway, no
she
shout outs to Jay-Z.
so wanted it not to be him. But Jay-Z, when the Phoenix Cup did it, he offered to pay their legal assistance.
Yeah, how much did he actually pay? Shout out to people who write articles. No shouts out to the people who get paid to write articles and they on their bullshit. Oh, wrap it up.
No,
dangerous situations. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so anyway, what I would do is, yeah, I would have the team, and then if I was actually there, I would do the same thing that, you know, Mr. Reese said. I would go talk to him. I would go talk to him like, hey, what's good? Like, why this going on in your life? Of course, my whole point is to put them in a position where like if it come from your emotional situation, if you need mental health, this is where I'm coming from. It's a bigger and deeper and underlying issue, and I don't know what it is, but I just want to help you with it. If it's your mental health, if you don't have a house to live in, if you don't have a property to own, if you don't have an education to do something bigger and better and help this situation, if you ain't voting or you don't know who to vote for, like that's what I'm there to talk to those people about, because you got a whole militia on your hands possibly, but can you lead them in the right direction to make a difference and a positive difference? And so that was my answer. I think it was lit. It was like a mixture of everybody answer. So it was more litter than y'all's. That's all I gotta say. Mobius, I'm gonna read my poem, but go ahead, Mobius. What are your thoughts?
It doesn't stop there. Like we talked about being on the ground. We talked about being in a position of wealth and power to be able to do that. But it doesn't stop after the protests subsided, where everybody forgot, or whatever's going on right now because we're in the middle of a pandemic. You gotta take it to your local elections and your state elections, not just the president one, not just the big one, because all of these laws that we're talking about, the Breonna Taylor one, the changes that have been made in various departments about kneeling on people's back and the forbidden chokeholds that people still use, and not using tear gas and smoke bombs and flashbangs, and they're still using them. Like all that stuff, like it has no teeth unless you vote for people who make these changes. But you also have to remember, what are the words I'm trying to find? You got to be self-reliant in whatever you're doing. You can't just count on somebody to go, oh, here's a thing that I explain in a way that makes sense to everybody. Now do this thing. You got to do your research. That's why I'm out there.
Put that work in.
I felt what happened with Floyd, just like everybody else. So what did I do? I went out there. Nobody told me. I didn't tell anybody except probably you, and I didn't tell you until I was there. I went out there to see what had happened myself. Just completely separated from the distractions of, oh, you shouldn't because X. It's like, well, I can't say you're wrong because you're not, but let me find out. Let's just figure things out. Problem solving, critical thinking, all the things that we've lost as a species, because it's not just here. It's all over the world where people just don't think. They they look at their phone for the answer. And so go vote. Like we said this several podcasts ago, or maybe depending on which order this one's in, but we go vote for everything. Go participate. Go to those parent-teacher conferences. Go to all these people and listen to what they have to say. And then turn on Fox and turn on the other news and all the ones that don't like each other and talk crap about each other, and listen to what each other has to say, because there's a reason why they're saying the things that they're saying.
Right.
Learn why those people who are yelling at you about X, Y, and Z, learn why they're yelling, so that
Question
you can have
everything.
Yeah.
This is the Unknowns podcast. So you have to question everything. And we keeping it 1,000. We coming from a place of our black experience. So you can just take it as it is. Alright, so you know what time it is. We almost at the end of the hour. It's poetry time. I got some of that hot fire for you. And I just want, what I'm saying, let y'all in. Let y'all in a little bit. So here we go. It's unnamed as usual, guys. Oh, why am I unworthy of life? Because you mislead and decree that all you have earned is worth more than me. Why live? Why breathe when deceit is what you serve me, after serving me up on a platter and destroying my hopes and dreams? From birth, creating a product chosen strategically by you of my detrimental environment. But why? More importantly, how do we change? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us at the Unknown Unknowns podcast. Go ahead and hit us on the IG. I told y'all it was going to be hot today, you know, and it was a little deep. And I hope it wasn't too deep for you, but if it was, go ahead and skip to the next podcast if you ain't already do that. But otherwise, hit us on Instagram and let us know, like, you bang with it, you know, answer the question of the day, leave us some comments. You got any questions for Mr. E, hit us on IG, the Unknowns podcast. You can go ahead and hit us. The unknown is replaced with O's instead of zeros, the other way around. Period. Unknown, the same way, but with a 5 on the end instead of an S. So go ahead and hit us. We on the 5th episode. I'm going to go ahead and give Mystery an opportunity. Is there any way you want them to hit you up? Or
oh, yes. Please check out kbfg.us, Kingdom Builders Financial Group, where dreams become reality.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Listen, guys. I can't reiterate enough. You gotta do your due diligence. I can't even tell you who to vote for right now. I don't know if anybody want to make a quick comment. There's some crazy stuff going on. I mean, it's a lot of people. It's a lot of opportunities out here. All I can say is whatever they're telling you your choices are, don't accept it.
You got more.
There's always more. Do your research. Don't just watch the commercial and say, oh, I'll pick one of two. Because there's more than that. There's people out here that really want to make a difference. And don't let how much money they throw in their campaign help you decide whether you're going to vote for them or not.
Bernie. That's me personally. Bernie.
Okay, Mobius. Shout out to Bernie. What about you, Mystery?
I don't claim any particular political party, and right now it's a very interesting environment. Of course, I love to see Kamala getting into a position of power. It shows that women of color are able to do anything.
Shout out to Brownie.
Regardless of the restrictions that are imposed. The problems that I have are more with the motivation behind everything, you know. Yeah. I understand that she's gonna run with the DNC because they're gonna foot the bill, but I hope that her rhetoric continues to say the same. I hope that her plans are consistent if she's put in power. But for whoever I do choose to go with, I'll be looking for the individual that will represent me the best. That'll create the most opportunities or allow me the most opportunities to create. And right now there's a lot of them, so I'm listening to everybody. I can say I definitely don't like what the orange Cheeto is saying, but he's always been very divisive, and I think that the country can be run better than it has, regardless of the benefits that my companies may have made from some of his legislative actions.
I know.
I still believe that.
Shout out to the checks.
That Treasury Department. Better. Right. There are better ways to do it. And the United States has shown us something special also in this time with COVID. I don't know if anyone's thought about this, because we're about to vote, and they've told us that we can't get reparations. They've told us they don't have enough money to house all the homeless. They told us they didn't have enough money to change the educational system so that all of the underserved communities could get the resources that they need. But then they just cut $1 trillion check in a time when there's a deficit. This money is fiat money. It doesn't really exist. We just need to understand how we can control what we already have, so that we can employ more methods of success and growth within our own communities. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna hijack the end of it.
Shout out to brown business owners. Oh, this guy and Oreos.
Vote for Harold Stevens 2026.
KPFG.
Nazi party pedo.
Oh shit! Listen, I see it and I hear it, but they said it's easier to put your hands over your ears and your eyes and just pretend like you ain't seen
In the
shit.
words of Tyler the Creator.
That's what they
so
say.
That was a fucking lie.
Ooh, no, I fucking hate that guy. No, in the words of fuck anybody else, and that was a lie.
I need a weapon.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for joining us, man. Shout out, shout outs.
Do a barrel roll.